Like something that I called out the other day, objectively speaking, I called it out. Marco Rubio is saying that the United States of America is within days of walking away from peace talks with Russia and Ukraine because he's saying this is not our war. Check it out.
I think it's important to remind everybody that the Ukraine war is a terrible thing, but it's not our war. We didn't start it. The United States has been helping Ukraine for over the last 3 years, and we want it to end. But it's not our war. I want everyone to understand that. And the reason why I make that point is the president has spent 87 days at the highest level of his government repeatedly taking efforts to bring this war to an end. We are now reaching a point where we need to decide and determine whether this is even possible or not, which is why we're engaging both sides. As you know, Ambassador Witkoff has had not one, not two, but 3 meetings with Vladimir Putin to determine the Russian perspective on this and understand what it would take for them to end it. We've, General Kellogg, myself, and others have had repeated engagements with the Ukrainians. So we came here yesterday to sort of begin to talk about more specific outlines of what it might take to end the war, to try to figure out very soon, and I'm talking about a matter of days, not a matter of weeks, whether or not this is a war that can be ended. If it can, we're prepared to do whatever we can to facilitate that and make sure that it happens, that it ends in a durable and just way. If it's not possible, if we're so far apart that this is not going to happen, then I think the president's probably at a point where he's going to say, well, we're done. You know, we'll do what we can on the margins. We'll be ready to help whenever you're ready to have peace. But we're not going to continue with this endeavor for weeks and months on end.
Yeah, okay, so 2 things can be true at the same time. So let me give you my honest thoughts, my honest initial thoughts based off of what Marco Rubio is saying. And I'm going to read these Cash Apps shortly also. What Marco Rubio is basically saying is that this ain't our war. And we're not going to continue to fund it. We're not going to continue to give weapons. We're not going to continue to give money. We're not going to continue to give grace. And we're not going to continue to be a part of this. And so, listen, and I agree. Because if we just going to start ending wars, if we going to start playing politician in every single thing that we do, even though we have been playing politician, and we've been doing it not because we just care. We've been doing it because a lot of people been getting rich because war is profitable for a lot of companies and a lot of executives. So a lot of people getting rich off this war, then got rich off this war. And he's saying that, listen, if we can't come to peace talks within a matter of days, then we going to go ahead and bow out, and then y'all can go ahead and do whatever y'all want to do, and y'all can figure it out as y'all see fit. We're not going to continue to step in the way of y'all killing each other and decimating y'all countries. North Korea, South Korea, Russia, China, United States of America, Europe, all of these people is paying attention and got a vested interest in seeing this. Nah, we're not going to keep doing it. So that's one way, right? That's the first thing. Because again, multiple things can be true at the same time. The other side of it is that I said it the other day and I stand on it, and that I'm going to be objective across the board. I am going to be objective across the board. This is one of the rare fumbles that my guy, and I love him to death, and I still rock with him, and I'm 100% conservative all the way, Republican. I believe that my vote was absolutely the right vote, 100%. But I got to be objective in saying that Trump said that this war will be ended on day 1. Now, he did preface it by saying that the war should have never started in the first place, and if he was still in office, we would have peace. However, he did say that he was going to end the war on day 1. Now, I'm satisfied with the alternative because I don't think that we should continue to give our dollars to Ukraine, and we should not continue to try to make nice with Russia. But we just got to be objective and call a spade a spade. It is what it is.
So we need to determine very quickly now, and I'm talking about in a matter of days, whether or not this is doable over the next few weeks. If it is, we're in. If it's not, then we have other priorities to focus on as well.
Secretary Michael Gordon, Wall Street Journal. The State Department said yesterday that a framework had been presented to all sides, to the Ukrainians, to the European officials, and to the Russians. What does the framework say? What issues does it resolve?
I'm not going to tell you what the framework says, because when you start negotiating these things through the media and so forth, they fall apart. And it's a broad framework. It's a framework that gets us into a position to see, look, there are going to be differences. There's no one saying this can be done in 12 hours, but we want to see how far apart it is and whether those differences can even be narrowed, if it's even possible to get movement within the period of time we have in mind. And so we've talked about outlines with both sides. I thought we had positive meetings yesterday. Obviously, the Ukrainians have to go back home. They have to run it by their president. They have to take into account their views on all of this, and we hope to hear back from them very soon. But we need to figure out here now, within a matter of days, whether this is doable in the short term. Because if it's not, then I think we're just going to move on from our perspective. The president feels very strongly about that. He has dedicated a lot of time and energy to this, and there are a lot of things going on in the world right now that we need to be focused on. So this is important, but there are a lot of other really important things going on that deserve just as much, if not more, attention. So we want to do everything we can to be helpful. We had a good meeting yesterday. I thought the French, the British, the Germans were very constructive, were very helpful. We thank them for hosting this, and hopefully we'll have another meeting early next week at some point where we'll have some more definitive answers about how close we are to actually making progress. But this isn't going to go on forever.
Mr. Secretary, we also know I don't upset. In your conversations yesterday with the Europeans and the Ukrainians, I'm sure you spoke about security guarantees for Ukraine in case of a ceasefire. Could you give us a sense of what that could look like? And is the U.S. ready to back up any eventual European reassurance force for Ukraine?
Well, that gets
They're going to have to start turning the plane off before they start doing these interviews, family.
to a level of specifics that we're not ready to discuss publicly yet. Obviously, the term security guarantees came up because they come up in every meeting. We've heard about it. And it's not an illegitimate desire. Every sovereign nation on earth has a right to defend itself. Ukraine will have a right to defend itself and to enter into whatever agreements it wants to enter into on a bilateral basis with different countries and so forth. So, I mean, it was discussed, but and that'll have to be part of any sort of conversation. Ukraine, in order for there to be peace, we recognize that Ukraine has to feel like it has the ability to defend itself from a future attack from anyone. Every country in the world has that right. But so I think everyone recognizes that Ukraine's ability to defend itself is going to be a part, it's its right as a country, and will be a part of any agreement. But we're not working yet on that level of specificity. I think that's something we can fix and solve in a way that's acceptable to everyone. I think we have bigger challenges that we need to figure out whether it's even possible within the short term. I can tell you this war has no military solution to it. It really doesn't. It's not going to be decided with, neither side has some strategic capability to end this war quickly. And so what we're talking about here is avoiding thousands and thousands of people from dying over the next year. We're trying to avoid that. We saw what happened last weekend with a missile strike in Sunni, where people died on Palm Sunday. We're just going to see more like that on both sides. We're going to see more of that. We're trying to prevent it. But we're not going to continue to fly all over the world and do meeting after meeting after meeting if no progress is being made. So if they're serious about peace, either side or both, we want to help. If it's not going to happen, then we're just going to move on. We're going to move on to other topics that are equally, if not more important in some ways, to the United States.
And I agree. In a nutshell, I'm sure they're going to ask him more questions, but I largely agree. I think that this is not our war. It never was our war. I don't know why American taxpayers, because that's the thing. Like, it's our money. When y'all say the United States of America and they giving money, no, we're giving money. It's your cash. It's my money and I want it now. It's your money. And so when we giving our money to support a framework or a war that we never asked for in the first place, we just woke up one day and it was like, oh man, Russia and Ukraine. And I'm like, and it was all over the news. It was on every single TV station, every news station. Woke up, it was everywhere. Everywhere that you could possibly think of. Ukraine don't even work. And I was like, okay. And I was all, you know me, I'm always trying to figure out where the money is. How does this come back to us? What is this going to cost us? Everything is going to cost us billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars. And it's just so much money, but no reason. I just don't understand it. Just endless wars and endless all of this, man. So much death and dying. It's like, for what? We be killing ourselves over anything. And I don't understand it any more than I understand people that are fighting over territory, Crips and Bloods, GDs, BDs, all of these people. Even in my own neighborhood when I was growing up, it was a Sconies, 8 Mile Sconies, 7 Mile Bloods. Then you had 6 Mile, Finkel Ave. Then you went over to the east side, and then they had the red zone over there. And I was like, this ain't even us. As a young boy, I was like, this is not even us. I said, what do you mean, Anton? I said, we got this from the West Coast, Crips and Bloods. What do you mean, Crips and Bloods? Ain't no Crips and Bloods supposed to be in Detroit, Michigan. And you know what the weirdest part about the whole situation is? I'll tell you what the weird part is. The weird part about the whole situation is I see people, right? Rappers, non-rappers, dudes all over the place. I'm 43 years old, right? I see dudes 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35 years old. Bloods. And I'm like, how? How? How are you a blood? That predates you in an area that you're not from, that you'll probably never visit. How are you ordained something from the West Coast that wasn't even supposed to hit your purview in the first? How did you join something that's not even from here? The fuck? Like nobody asked the question. Like, hey, shout out to all of my 8 Miles. Shout out to the Sconies. And they would be like, Scony down. And I was like, mm. Like, Tom, you coming? I was like, and this is the honest to God truth. Every every decision that you make from the time that you're younger to the time that you get older is going to be a life defining moment. It's going to be the difference between life and death, freedom or being locked up in a cage with Felice Johnson, rich, poor, healthy, unhealthy. Every single moment in your life is a butterfly defining moment. And it was like, yo, Tom, you coming? I said, where y'all going? Yo, we got into it with, I said, who is we? The homies over there got into it. And I was like, and this is the honest to God truth of what happened. And I remember I was 11 years old, 11, 12 years old. And I was like, and this is exactly what I was thinking. I'm going to tell you what I was thinking, and this is what I said. This is for all of you young boys out there. And I was thinking to myself, but there's some hoes right up the street. Ah! I said this, but I was thinking to myself, but there's some hoes right up the street. And I was like, all right, I'll try to catch up with y'all. That's exactly what I said. I said, all right, I'll try to catch up with y'all. Man, me, my dog Marshall, Lamar, Leon, all of us. It's like, man, let's go get these. Let's go talk to these hoes, and then we gonna go hoop afterwards, and then we gonna go lift. That's exactly what we did. We talked to the women, we hooped, we lifted, and then we hung out on the porch with all of the girls and stuff like that afterwards. I'm not about to go on. I don't even know that. What do you mean? I don't know them. Oh, they from the hood. They from the others. They're from the Wyoming side. Who? Who was that? Who was him? Who was he? Man, I'm not going. I had sense enough as an 11, 12-year-old to say, you know what? I don't even know them. I don't even know them. Not about to hang out with y'all. Next thing you know, somebody got shot. I'm straight, dog. It was like such a Maurice got shot. You mean Thirsty? We called him Thirsty because his lips was always chapped. Yo, Maurice got shot. Thirsty? Pooh Bear was over there scrapping. Maurice got shot, and his nephew ran up on him. Pooh Bear, dog. Thirsty was room 9 in real life. He was just real strong. Lips was always trapped. Couldn't really hoop that much. Threw his shot up like that. He could scrap though. Pooh Bear, he wound up going to jail for like 15 years. Honest to God, on everything I love. Pooh Bear went to jail for 15 years. Thirsty, I think, got shot. And then the nephew, he wound up D'Angelo. Shout out to D'Angelo. Crazy, dog. Crazy as hell.
Time, baby.
What up, though?
What up, though?
Hey, you remember Thirsty?
Heck yeah.
What happened to Thirsty?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Didn't Pooh Bear?
Lit off the spectrum.
Yeah, I know. As he was retarded, but he had that retard strength.
He wasn't all the way there. Hold on, bro.
He was room 9, but he had that strong strength.
Yeah, nigga said you straight up retarded. Yeah, I don't know what happened to Thirsty. I don't know what happened to most of them.
What about didn't Pooh Bear?
The one I know I heard of is Roberto.
Yeah, I knew about Berto.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what Cheese at.
What didn't Pooh Bear go to jail? Pooh Bear got locked up.
I know.
The
other one did.
D'Angelo.
D'Angelo, I know he went for sure, but he out now. He's been out for a minute.
Dog, we never cared about that. All we cared about was hooping and hoes.
Yep.
Hooping, hoes, and lifting. That's all we cared about.
And when I went to school with them, you know, them niggas, you know, they tried to make me part of the 8 Mile. I said, nah, ain't no 8 Mile. I said, y'all trash.
Yeah, none of that. All right, let me call you right back.
All right.
Nah, we not doing that. We not doing. Listen, everybody is from the hood. Everybody got a story. It don't matter if you from Detroit, Philly, New York, Los Angeles, down there in Atlanta, somewhere in Texas. We all come from the same hood. We all come from the same places. We all face the same decisions. That's why, honestly, it's a little bit more difficult for me to even have the type of sympathy that y'all might have and saying, oh man, he didn't know what he was doing. He was just a kid. Shit. I knew what I was doing. I knew exactly where the guns was. I knew where all of this was. I knew who was about to scrap. We knew who was in trouble. We knew who was going to go to jail. We knew who had the knives. We knew exactly what was going to pop off, and we made an informed decision as young boys. Young, 12, 13, 14 years old. We all grew up. The dudes that I grew up with, I'm still cool with to this day. We all had decisions to make, and as a young bull, we got into some mess. Most of it was around women. Most of it was around something like that. But we always was smart enough and situationally aware enough. We was taught that by our parents, situationally aware enough to where we not about to put our life in danger. We not going to jail, and we not about to put ourselves in a position to be locked up. No death, no dying, no getting shot. That's out of the question. Any one of those 3 is out. If we could do anything around that, but any of that, I'm out. I'm out. And you telling me that a 17-year-old didn't know what the hell was going on? I'm going to call you a lie. I'm calling you a lie. 100% I'm calling you a lie.